It's currently 4:30 a.m. I can't sleep because I have insomnia, so I figured, hey, why not make a video to have something for you guys to be entertained with on Monday morning? 2022 is coming to a close, man. It's crazy how fast this year has gone by, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to be original this year. I'm going to come out with something that no one else is going to do. I'm going to talk about the best and the worst from Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo in 2022. No one else is going to do something like that, right? Obviously, it's been a interesting year for video games. I made a video kind of halfway through the year saying that the year felt kind of boring. Some people gave me flack on that, but I think towards the end of the year, it kind of did feel a bit boring. Maybe not boring, but sort of safe. Most of the stuff that happened, we already knew about. Sure, there were some surprises, stuff like Resident Evil 4 remake being confirmed as coming in 2023 and getting a nice gameplay trailer. I thought that was really cool, something that definitely stood out to me. But for the most part, it was a pretty safe year. You had some great third-party titles that I want to highlight before we go into the individual companies themselves. Some stuff that I really enjoyed and some stuff that was just really fun. Elden Ring, of course, not a game for me. I've come to that realization. I'm not a Souls born, whatever they're called, player. I don't like games like that, but there's nothing wrong with not liking games like that. They're just not my cup of tea. But I know a lot of people got a ton of enjoyment out of that game, so I'd be foolish not to mention it. Of course, you did have some other games like the Callisto Protocol and Need for Speed Unbound, which just came out recently, and I definitely enjoyed those games. I thought they were a lot of fun. I've been having fun playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, so I feel like third-party companies did a great job overall in 2022. But like I said, we're going to be focusing in on the main companies in this, talking about the best and the worst from them. We're going to start things off with Xbox. I would say the best thing about Xbox in 2022 was definitely just the continued success of Game Pass. Game Pass brings you so many different games from so many different genres and so many different companies, whether we're talking about smaller independent studios that only have a couple people on hand all the way up to AAA releases. Game Pass really allowed me to play a lot of games that maybe I wouldn't have picked up on day one, or maybe I would have never got around to playing at all. And at the worst case, I could just play the game for a little bit and I don't feel any sort of commitment to the game because I didn't drop $60 or $70 on it. It was just there for me to purchase or to download with my monthly Game Pass subscription. Now you could say that Game Pass adds up after a while, and that may be true, but I feel like the features that it gives you and the amount of content that it gives you is just really second to none. You can't really compare it to what anyone else is doing as far as Sony and Nintendo are concerned in terms of the amount of quality that you get and how many games are constantly added to the service. So Game Pass was definitely the big highlight for me in 2022 with Xbox, and I played majority of my third-party titles that were multi-platform titles on my Xbox Series X. When it comes to the bad, it's the same that has always been for Xbox. It's the same problem every freaking year. And hopefully 2023 is going to be the end of this, but just the lack of exclusive titles on this thing. And you could sit there and say, well, you had Grounded, RGT. Grounded finally came out, even though it was in early access like 2 years ago. You had Scorn. No, those are not games that I want from Xbox. Those are not games that the vast majority of people really enjoyed because they're just kind of, you know, Grounded is a games as a service thing. Scorn is a weird abstract art student's weird fetish dream that he came up with. Like, the games that we want are games, you know, the heavy hitter games, the games that we're supposed to be getting, you know, all these studio acquisitions. Starfield was supposed to be a 2022 title. Of course, like every major Xbox title, Starfield ended up getting delayed. We're setting up 2023 in a nice way. We already know about 3 confirmed games that are supposed to be coming out in 2023 with Redfall, Forza Motorsports 8, and the aforementioned Starfield, but I still don't have enough confidence in Xbox and Microsoft as a company to guarantee me that those games are going to come out. I understand that there are problems and sometimes hiccups with development and things take time, but Microsoft seems to time and time tell us again and again, oh, this is the year that all the games are coming out, and then something happens, and then the games don't come out, and it just feels like, damn it, Microsoft. damn it, we need these games. I am hopeful for 2023, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of these games end up missing 2023. You know, Starfield seems like a very ambitious title. I'm not so sure that that's going to hit, you know, before June, like a lot of people are saying. I think that could be towards the tail end of the year, maybe even slip into 2024. That was definitely the biggest disappointment for me with Xbox, though, and just the worst thing of the year was the fact that these exclusive titles still seem to be elusive to the platform. Hopefully that does change very soon, but you know, the lack of presence at the Game Awards, once again, kind of doesn't really lead me to instill much confidence in this company. Moving right along, we of course have Sony, and unlike the Microsoft situation, I think Sony's biggest strength and the best part of their year for 2022 was exclusive titles. I mean, exclusives sell platforms. I don't care what anyone says. It's right there. It's black and white, clear as crystal. You buy a Nintendo system to play your Marios. You buy a Sony system to play your God of Wars. You buy an Xbox system to wait a lot and maybe play some Halo Infinite. Hey, at least Halo Infinite got an update. But when you look at the exclusives that came out on PlayStation platforms this year, it was a strong year. You know, you had games like Horizon Forbidden West, which I didn't get through that game. I need to kind of revisit it. I did enjoy my time with it. I just thought that Aloy talked like way too damn much, and every character in that game just wouldn't shut up. And everyone had this deep, long story. And I'm like, dude, I just want to play the game. Like, please stop talking. I played it for about 10 hours or so, and I just got a little burned out on all the dialogue, but it's still a good game. Of course, you had God of War Ragnarok, a huge game for Sony. It was up there for Game of the Year nominations. Maybe not that much different than God of War 2018, but still a big exclusive title that you could only play on PlayStation platforms, at least for right now. They obviously are sort of extending into the PC world. You had The Last of Us Part 1 remake. I was going to skip out on that. I've already played that game before. I wasn't super interested in it, but you know, that's a good title. Gran Turismo 7, man, it came out. Like, it did come out, and it's a racing game. And it's kind of fun, but the broken online, the lack of features, the lack of tracks that are available in that game was definitely a little bit of a sour note for me, but at least it was yet another exclusive available on Sony's platform. Now, you would think that I would consider Gran Turismo 7 to be the biggest disappointment as far as, you know, Sony was concerned, because I obviously wasn't very happy with the game, and as time went on, I got angrier and angrier at the game to the point of where I haven't touched that game in several months, so my steering wheel and little setup cockpit are just collecting dust. So if not Gran Turismo 7, what was the biggest disappointment for Sony in 2022? This damn PlayStation Plus crap. What the hell are you doing with this? This is absolute nonsense. And I'm not talking about the basic PlayStation Plus stuff. That's fine. Okay, I'm talking about the extra tier, the premium tier. Okay, we all signed up for that for one reason, because you said that PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PSP games, yes, the PlayStation 3 as well through cloud streaming, but you said we were going to get PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation portable games on this service, and you haven't done shit with it. You did something right at the start. We had some games to enjoy. We have some additional, you know, filters to go on it, mostly PlayStation 1 stuff, because the PlayStation 2 stuff was just PlayStation 4 available titles that were already available on the PlayStation 4 that you could play from the PlayStation 2 era. They were kind of redone for the PlayStation 4. And the PSP stuff has just been like weird niche titles that maybe some people will get excited about, but at the end of the day, they're not memorable titles. Like, you have 3 different systems here with amazing catalogs of games, and you haven't done jack shit with them. Where are the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games? Do you understand how many good PlayStation 2 games there are? Do you understand how many hidden gem PlayStation 2 games there are? This should be getting games all the time. All the time. There's so much stuff to choose from. There's so many awesome genres, RPGs, survival horror games, so much stuff. Yet you do nothing. Nothing. You've literally done nothing. I don't get it. I don't understand why you would even make this tier, make this something that's available for consumers to pick up and pay a premium price for, and then not respect those consumers by giving them the content that they signed up for. It's just a baffling decision to me by Sony. And I'm hopeful that in 2023, they sort of correct this and maybe they have like a big dump of like PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games. And they're like, hey, we're sorry that we completely forgot about this. But by far the most disappointing thing for me was the upgraded PlayStation Premium Plus poo-poo tiers, because they've obviously dropped the ball on this. You got the head of the company, Jim Ryan, doesn't even like old games, so I'm surprised they even did this, but it's like they did the absolute bare minimum. You need to do better with that, Sony, because you have something very special that you could capitalize on. And finally, Nintendo. Now, it was a strange year for Nintendo. I will say it was a strange year for Nintendo because there were some really good points for the Nintendo Switch. I mean, obviously the best stuff is going to be some of the first party games. Games like Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest game of all time, but it was a really good game that I think a lot of people enjoyed, and it kind of took Kirby in a bit of a different direction. It wasn't quite the Breath of the Wild moment for the franchise, but to have a 3D Kirby game is something that's pretty rare. It's not something you see very often, and I think a lot of people enjoyed that game. Granted, it was a bit on the easy side when it comes to things like that, but I thought it was a solid title. You, of course, had Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which was the biggest disappointment. I'm just kidding. Could you imagine? Those Xenoblade Chronicles fanboys would be all over me. And yes, I am a fan of Xenoblade Chronicles. I've played and beaten 1 many times. I did not finish 2 because of the low resolution in handheld mode. Xenoblade Chronicles X is one of my favorite RPGs. I love that freaking game. I just haven't gotten around to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Probably will pick it up when I see a nice sale on it and just kind of play that game at my own pace. But that was obviously a very big highlight. Splatoon 3 as well. The second coming of Splatoon, or I guess technically the third coming. But I thought this was a really well done sequel. You know, sequels don't necessarily have to change up everything. They don't have to rock the boat necessarily. As long as you have the core game and you make it better, you add more stuff into it, you add more modes, more features, more weapons, especially in this game that's, you know, prominently a shooter game. I think this really did a good job of being a successful and well done sequel. I definitely have been enjoying the game. I haven't jumped into it in a little while, but once they start getting some new content in there, I'll definitely be checking it out again. You of course had Bayonetta 3, you know, kind of mixed reactions, but at least it was nice to see this game finally come out and see what we got with it. And then of course I would be remiss if I didn't say Pokemon Legends Arceus. I forget how to say it because that game came out in freaking January. Pokemon Legends Arceus was one of my most played games this year. I logged like over 60 plus hours into that game in like a week. Like, I was addicted to that game and I had so much fun with it. And it was a really awesome Nintendo Switch exclusive title because you weren't getting this game on any other platform. And it felt like, you know, the Pokemon company, Game Freak, had finally turned a corner and things were going to get good. So I think the software library of the Nintendo Switch in 2022 was the best thing about it. But I also think it was the worst thing about the system in 2022 because there were so many disappointing games and just the overall mantra for Nintendo felt extremely safe to the point of where it was just like, you know, almost no sort of innovation. Let's look at 2 of the biggest culprits. Obviously, we're going to talk about Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. Yes, technically it wasn't developed by Nintendo, but it is technically considered a first-party Nintendo game. Nintendo does own a portion of Pokemon, so I would be remiss not to talk about this. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet released in an unacceptable state, and I know people are still having fun with that game, and that's fine. You can have fun with something. You got to remember, children will play with their own feces because they think it's chocolate or mud or something like that. They're having a great time, but that doesn't mean what they're playing is necessarily good. People can enjoy things, people can have fun with things, but if you're not able to see the issues with the game as far as technical issues and bugs and glitches and frame rates and stuff like that, like, you're just doing yourself a disservice because you're not expecting high quality stuff. I think really though the big game for me was Mario Strikers Battle League. I don't understand how you screwed this game up. We were all excited for this game. Like, you can see the jersey underneath the gray shirt right there. You can see the jersey. We made jerseys of this game for the Spawncast. We were going to do the whole league. We were like, oh, great. You know, it's Battle League. We'll have our own league. We'll go up against other people. We'll have people try to combat our league. We had so many plans for this game. And then the game came out and you could only play with one other person online. You couldn't do a full team of 4 against another full team of 4 in 2022. This is bizarre. And people say, oh, well, maybe because it's just no excuses. No excuses. Splatoon has 4v4 in a shooter game. There's a hell of a lot more going on in Splatoon than with Mario Strikers Battle League. They absolutely dropped the ball with this game. There's a total lack of content. There's a total lack of just, you know, charm with the game. It doesn't feel like a Mario soccer title does. It just feels like a soccer game, and they threw in Mario characters at like the very end. Like, you know, there's some decent stuff within the game, and I think the game mechanics aren't too bad, but it just doesn't have that over the top feeling that a Mario sports game should really have. And like, that's kind of a mantra I have for this year, is Nintendo played it very safe. You know, there wasn't many big surprises from them. There wasn't many sort of wow moments. I think a lot of people were expecting Tears of the Kingdom to be a 2022 game. Of course, that got pushed into 2023. Did that sort of mess things up for Nintendo? I mean, potentially, but still, it just felt very safe from them. It felt like a very safe year, and the fact that the Nintendo Switch hardware is definitely showing signs of aging when it comes to the titles that are coming out about it. It's kind of like, we need something to happen here. We either need some big, huge game announcements for 2023, or we need to start talking about potentially other things. So that was by far the worst thing about Nintendo in 2022, was 2 of their biggest titles were just absolute stinkers, and the fact that they played it very safe. There wasn't that big element of surprise. Overall though, was 2022 boring? Like I said, I alluded to that in a previous video that I made over the summer, and I'm gonna go with it was a safe year. For the most part, there wasn't those big wow surprise moments that we've seen in years past, and I feel like there's a reason why though. You know, you're coming off of the whole COVID era of game development, where like this was going to be the final year where things were probably going to be a little bit weird. The PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are finally getting their footing as far as having readily available consoles, so now the focus can shift to those sorts of things. With Nintendo, you have the complete opposite situation, where obviously the Nintendo Switch at some point in time, yes, it's true, it is going on its way out, will be on its way out because of the hardware used in the system is older technology and things are always changing. So I feel like this was kind of a transition year for gaming. I don't think it was bad, I just think it was safe. At the end of the day though, we did get some really good titles, and you know, no matter where you play, yes, even on Xbox, you had some fun games to play. Just your Xbox fun games or third-party games. I mean, let's be real, you getting hyped over Grounded, getting hyped over Scorn. I played 30 minutes of Scorn and I was like, no, we're not doing this. This is missed. This is missed with phalluses, weird phalluses. But let me know what you thought of 2022 in the comments section down below. Did you enjoy the year? What were some of your highlights? What were some of your low points? Because at the end of the day, this is my opinion. And how mad did you get when I had Xenoblade with a big cross through it? Of course, I mean the X through it. Of course I was gonna do that. I gotta make you click the video so you can be like, and then you actually see that I was positive about the game. I just did it to trick you. Because I'm sneaky. You never know what I'm gonna do next. It's almost 5 a.m. now. I'm gonna edit this and then try to get some sleep. Probably won't work though. Thank you guys for checking out this video. If you are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit that bell notification as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.